Hey there, saltwater angler, and welcome to the Lower Chesapeake Bay Fishing Report, bringing you the current fishing report, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. Now let's take a moment and learn who's making this show possible, and then we'll jump into the reports. GreatDaysOutdoors.com. Great Days Outdoors has been the premier destination for hunters and anglers looking for a comprehensive look into the outdoor lifestyle since 1997. Our stories are crafted by dedicated journalists who live, eat, and breathe all things hunting, fishing, conservation, and land ownership. Check them out at GreatDaysOutdoors.com. Listen up. AFTCO has a promotional gift for all Great Days Outdoors Podcast Network listeners. They're now offering a camo sunglasses cleaner cloth with any purchase of AFTCO products. For those cold, wet, or windy days, I especially enjoy my weatherproof fabric barricade jacket, as well as my Helm insulated fishing gloves. All you got to do to get your coupon code is text LCBFR to 779-345-2918. You'll get subscribed to our email list, and we'll send you the promo code via email. And welcome to this week's show. It is still freezing cold outside. Not a whole lot of fishing going on. I think a few brave souls have been going out there and chasing some bluefins. I don't know if you guys keep up with Doug Gray, Captain Doug Gray, and Speechless, but they are a ton of fun to watch right now. They're going out there in some tough conditions out of Outer Banks. Just this past week, they caught a grander, which was incredible, meaning fish was over 1,000 pounds, which is just an unbelievable tuna to see aboard a boat, much less fight it. So if you guys aren't following them, give them a follow. Speechless Sport Fishing, really cool. They live stream when they're hooked up, so you can get to see the whole process. In fact, they did lose a big one right by the boat, and I was really impressed just the way that the captains and the team worked together. You know, nobody got terribly upset. They're like, "Hey, look, this stuff happens." You know, so just shows the experience and the grace that those guys have. And respect for the sport and each other. But this week, we've gotten to know a lot of really great captains over the year, and each captain is supported by a great mate. And so this week's conversation, I want to dive in and talk to the mates from Playing Hooky and from Heads and Tails, as well as from Fineo Sport Fishing, to get to find out what's it like being a mate. Where did their passion come from? What does their day to day look like? And really just dive inside the mind of a mate and find out what that is like. So it's going to be a fun conversation. Y'all stick around. We're going to hop right into it. It's time we talked about catching some serious savings. Imagine harnessing the power of the sun to cut your energy bills and having a roof that's built to last. Convert Solar and Roofing specializes in top-notch solar installations and durable roofing solutions that stand up to the toughest elements. Their solar panels are designed to maximize efficiency, and their roofs are built with premium materials to ensure long-lasting protection. Whether you're out on the water or at home, their expert team ensures you're covered. As fellow anglers in the Lower Chesapeake Bay, the team at Convert Solar and Roofing cares about both sustainable living and sustainable fishing. So reel in those savings today and visit www.convert-solar.com or call 757-44-SOLAR. Make your energy and roof as reliable as your favorite fishing lure. Call Convert Solar and Roofing today. Sam Rust Seafood, your locally trusted source for premium wholesale seafood. Servicing customers from Hampton Roads down through the Outer Banks, Richmond, and surrounding areas, including Fredericksburg, Charlottesville, and Lynchburg, for over 80 years. Committed to the highest standards in the industry, Sam Rust distributes the best of the ocean directly to your restaurant, hotel, or grocery store on time and at a great price. Visit samrust.com to discover how quality, tradition, and sustainability come together. So don't cuss, call Sam Rust. All right, guys, I am super excited about this next segment. So we've talked all year long to different charter guides here in the Lower Chesapeake Bay, offshore, nearshore, inshore. We've gotten to hear their tips and tricks and how they do what they do. But I think we could all agree, if you've ever been on a charter, the unsung heroes of every successful charter trip are the mates. They're down there, hauling gear, checking gear, re-rigging things, getting ice ready, getting baits ready, making sure the guests are comfortable, making sure the boat's ready, then to do all the cleaning at the end. We're going to get into all that stuff, but I want to welcome to the show some of the mates of the captains that we talk to the most. So I want to go around here and introduce you guys. Zay, welcome to the show, man. Tell us who you are and who you work with.
Hey Luke, thanks for having me. So my name is Zay. I work with Austin Hain on Fineo Sport Fishing.
Very cool. And then we got Russ.
Hey guys, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find some light. I'm Russ. I'm on Plain Hooky at Rudy Inlet with Bill.
Awesome. And then we got Ryan.
I'm Ryan, and I fish on Heads and Tails with Captain Eric Myers out of Lynnhaven Inlet.
Very cool. Well, guys, I've got a couple of questions that I just want to, find out what is it like inside of the mind of a mate. So, Russ, maybe you could start us off. Like, can you just like walk us through like the typical day, like midsummer, we got a charter coming up, like start to finish, like what is your day like from the time that your alarm clock goes off? Where are you driving in from? How long is your day? What do you got to do? Give us the 30,000 foot view.
All right, I'll start from the beginning. I usually wake up about 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll get me like a couple glasses of water, maybe a bowl of cereal, and then head to Rudy Inlet, and I'll try to be there about 4 or 5 o'clock typically, and just prep everything like you said, get the ice, and I don't know, make sure all my rigs, everything is like ready to go. Just make it easy on me. I see like preparation is key for everything out here. Just I feel like the more that I'm prepared, the more I'm ready for my day, less stressful,
Hmm.
and I can really like be more efficient. But that's pretty much it, man. I mean, I've only made it for Bill for about a year, and I made it from like about like 8 years ago for a little bit for like 6 months. But I don't know. I started crabbing after that, and then I came back to Bill about February 1st when Black Sea Bass started,
Hmm.
and I just been going, man.
That's awesome.
Like Bill's taught me a lot, and I take his knowledge and the stuff that I know and just try to apply it together. And that's pretty much it, man. My main thing is being amazed. Like I just try to be as prepared as I can for my day. And I don't know, I hate scrambling,
Yeah.
at the end of the day. I hate scrambling. I hate like having to go on the fly, tie on the fly. I just try to be prepared for anything that could happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of pressure, being the mate because obviously the captain's got his pressures to deal with, but everything else, falls to you guys. I'm curious, Ryan, in your opinion, what would you say, like, on your typical day as a mate? Like, what's the most challenging part of a mate's day that you deal with?
I'd probably say get in the right mindset because, most of us, we start our day before, like, just waking up like 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then showing up an hour before your charter and just getting everything right. Like, getting the boat set up, making sure everything is okay with it, getting your baits, re-rigging, because every day is completely different. It's not always going to be the same. And especially fishing on a 31 contender, we have the option to go offshore, go in the bay, or fish in the windmills. So not every trip's going to be a sight fishing trip in the bay. Sometimes we'll go offshore and fish for the mahi or go sword fishing. And I mean, the last couple of trips we've been doing is the bluefin trips, and
Mhm.
it's a gives you a variety of trips to do, especially in that size boat. So every day is going to be different. So you just want to know what you're doing the night before.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And, you know, clients and entertaining clients, like, a lot of times, especially with the boats that have towers, the captain's kind of up in the tower doing his thing, and then you guys are downstairs taking care of the clients. Zay, how do you balance trying to keep the clients like happy and entertained while also making sure that like everything's happened the way it's supposed to with the actual fishing side of things?
So it's funny because I actually came from doing like booze cruise charters.
Uh-huh.
So I was a first mate on that, and that's what I was like. I was the entertainment. I was the host. I was the life of the party. So to transition over to the fishing charters, like that was what I did. Like because a lot of times, cobia fishing, you're riding around. Sometimes you might go a long time without seeing a fish. So jumping downstairs and just talking to the clients, being personable, building that relationship. It was very easy for me to kind of transition into that, and then just being able to multitask. Like they said, if you set your day up for success in the beginning, all those things you don't really have to worry about. So you can kind of focus more on the clients because you already did the work before you got to the boat or before the clients.
That makes sense. And I mean, t talking about like cobia, for example, like I think all three of you guys, your captains, you guys fish for cobia at some point in the season. So I am curious about that. Like, Russ, how do you handle it when you're in like hour two of not seeing a cobia? Like, what do you do with the guests to keep them entertained?
Just try to keep them in their high hopes, man. Just try to, tell them we're gonna find them eventually. Stay positive. Just connect with them, talk with them. Just I don't know, man. Just I mean, we look harder and harder and harder. We eventually find them.
Mhm.
Eventually, most of the time we find them. So just we tell them like, well, we just need that one shot. We need that one fish. Will make the whole day.
Ain't
And
that the truth? That is definitely the truth. Is there anything like that you guys can think of? Like, think about all your trips, all the people that you've met. I'm curious, like, what's one of the funniest or weirdest things that you guys have ever seen a charter guest bring on a boat with them on a charter?
Bananas.
They brought bananas?
They brought bananas. Yep.
That's
I
funny.
yeah.
I'd
Oh,
probably have to say an old Zepco.
Oh, like the little
Yes.
push button one?
Yeah, I was like, it's not gonna catch us what we want. And the dude was totally cool. He's like, oh, I thought I'd just bring it along.
That's pretty funny. Russ, any memorable guests or I've heard one story that probably, in my opinion, takes the cake, and I'm trying to remember. Oh, it was Robbie Bryan. But any memories of like something going really sideways with a guest, like either something gross, puking, or otherwise? Memorable moments?
Yeah, I've had some guys. I've had one guy in particular is like my most, like gruesome moment, man. This guy was like, he was with a good crew. They all came out. They fished hard, but they were enjoying themselves out there. And this guy was like lighting the candle on both ends, man. I was like, oh my gosh. He just like laid out in the beanbag, but he was still fishing. His pants were all the way down and shit. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
He got real. How sick did he get?
oh, he was messed up, but he was fishing hard. I had to hold him up by the back of his collar all day. I
Oh my
mean,
gosh.
yeah, yeah. They caught blue line sea, but he was still catching fish. Him and his friends. I just try to keep them all level as best I can too. Just try, whatever they need help with in any type of way, I'm there for them.
Yep.
Yeah.
What about the relationship with the captain? So obviously you guys are in front of the guest all day long. How do you like sometimes I'm sure you get, maybe opposing ideas, like if the fishing is slow and you've got an idea about going one way and they've got an idea about going the other way. How do you guys manage that? Zay, like if Austin's saying, I feel like the fish are over here and you feel like they're over there, like as a mate, like do you get to ever like kind of put your foot down and go, hey, let's do this? Or is it always just what the captain says goes?
so for me, it was like, so this was like my first true mating season for a fishing boat. So, coming on Austin's boat, I was more like a sponge more than anything. I was, he's been doing this for 12, 13, 14 years, however long now. So I was, he took me under his wing and I was really just, a student to, the game this year. So it's kind of more so, his judgment because he knows the patterns, he knows the winds, he knows, and I wasn't always able to be there 7 days a week. So especially like if there was a day where, I wasn't there yesterday, but I'm here today and he thinks we should go this way, then, we're going that way. But he was very good at asking me, what do I think? Or, where do you think I should go? So we would have that, communication in the tower. But, it was more so, me just being a sponge and, kind of following his lead and, understanding why he thinks that they're over here or what makes him think that they're over there.
Got it. Ryan, same question. How does it go when old Eric Myers is up there plowing it in one direction? You're like, you know what? I just got a gut feeling.
It's a little bit different because he does work a week on, week off type of schedule. And I mean, if he works nights, he'll still fish, but it's just not full day trips. And so I try to just fish as much as I possibly can. So I fish every day. And I just, it kind of helps him keep in the loop of what we're doing. And if I like fish the day before and I had to go fish with him the next day, I'm like, hey, this is what we did yesterday. This is where they were at and what they were biting on and the time of day. And so I try to do my best to keep him in the loop. And that's why I fish every day. So I stay on top of it and I know what I'm doing. But I mean, you just got to have trust in your captain and what you're doing because I mean, we've been fishing for so long and this is more like a craft to us than it is like pleasure. And so just got to trust each other and know what you're doing because all it takes is one cast, one fish, and one bite to completely change your charter.
Right. Yeah, make that really cool memory. And, I know that, nobody's out here like making billions of dollars being, either a charter guide or a mate. So obviously there's some passion in it. I want to hear from each of you, like, where did the passion come from for fishing that ultimately led you to want to be a mate on a professional charter boat? Russ, you talked about earlier off before we hit the record button about, growing up and being around Hampton and getting out there on the pier and catching some cobias. What was it for you? When did you get bit with the fishing bug and then ultimately decide, you know what, I want to be a mate on a charter boat?
Yeah, man. I got to travel up and down like the East Coast. I used to go down all the way down like Topsail, fish every pier. I spent like a year at every pier, all the way down, everything, every pier in between, and I got to see a lot of cool stuff. And then after a time, I was like, man, it'd be a cool idea, to be a mate, or should even be a captain one day and share that experience with other people. And it's like there's nothing like taking a friend out or anybody, and to show them how to fish or put them on a really, crazy catch, and they get to experience that. You'll hook them for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just what I get out of it, man. It's like I rig up every person, every charter, every customer. Like I'm a rig up for myself. I want to make sure they don't break off. I'll bring my A game for them. I feel like their catch is my catch too, But I'm glad they get to hear of all that. And just hopefully they'll soak in that knowledge.
Yeah. I like that. That their catch is my catch. That's a cool way of thinking about it. What's something, you've been working with Captain Bill for some time. What would you say is one technique or tip that you learned from Captain Bill as a mate?
Man, so much. I've learned for real. I've learned so much from Bill, but I would really say like just trust your gut. Go with your gut feeling. Like a lot of times you'll study conditions and everything. Like try to like right now we're all going after bluefin, following the birds, following, the bait, seeing trying to mark stuff. But I've seen a couple fish now just bite out of the blue, on a blue screen. Just go with your gut. And I'm like, wow, it's
That's
really
pretty cool.
very eye-opening.
Yeah. Sometimes it makes perfect sense. All the data comes together and you get the bite. And then other times you're just going on a gut feeling, like you're saying. And, that was our one bite that we got. It was a blue screen. We weren't seeing any birds. And then all of a sudden, bang, we got hit. And that's just the way it goes. Zay, you're newer to fishing. Like you were saying, I do want to hear a little bit about these booze cruises. Like 30 seconds. What was this booze cruise thing that you were doing?
So we operate, which I'm still doing now. We
Okay.
operate out of Lynnhaven boat ramp, called Legacy Boat Charters. We got pontoon boats. We got that Bugatti jet car. I don't know if you guys see it.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. So, but basically, people they rent the boat out and then they bring their own, food, drinks, alcohol, etc. They hire a captain, they hire a mate, and then we just take them around Broad Bay for X amount of hours, however long they book. And then you do that 12 hours a day on a Saturday, Sunday.
Got it. Ryan, what about you? Any tips or trips that old Cap Merrick Myers has taught you that are memorable or maybe changed your world when it comes to your fishing?
I think for me, it's like never stop learning because it always keeps you engaged into something. And then it also gives you more information. And so the more you learn, the more you do, the more valuable of a fisherman you become. And it just keeps opening up certain gates for you to like go fish with people offshore or go fish with people who deep drop just because you know a thing or two. And, people start inviting you on their boat and then you become that guy who knows what to do. And all of a sudden, it kind of prepares you of what it's like to be a captain without having that charter pressure on you. So it's just one of those things, always keep learning and be coachable and just control the things you can control.
Yeah. Charter pressure is a great thing to think about because that's something I always think about for you guys. Is like it's a big expense and investment for somebody to pay for a charter and get out there, and then it's like the pressure is on you guys to make it happen one way or the other. Zay, back to you. What's one thing that Captain Austin has taught you when it comes to fishing as a newer fisherman that stands out to you that you would have never known before if it hadn't been for him showing you a certain technique or tip?
Just, every day is going to be different and just be patient. Because a lot of these customers, they're out there to learn something. They're not professionals. That's why they hire us. So some of them aren't going to be the best anglers. Some of them aren't going to know a thing about what they're doing. But just be patient, take your time with them, make them feel comfortable, especially when it comes to like netting the cobias, because that's always the hardest part. So he showed me different techniques as far as, whether a customer knows how to work the rod or doesn't know how to work the rod to ensure that, we're still secure on the catch. And that was very useful throughout the season.
Got it. All right. So I want to shift gears. Folks that are listening, a lot of times are anglers themselves and have their own boats or kayaks or go to the piers. And some other folks that are listening are interested in booking a charter and getting out there and having that experience. So I want to do some like do's and don'ts. So if I'm a charter guest and I'm going to come on a charter, let's start with some do's. What are some do's, things that we should do as charter guests? Russ, you've seen a bunch of charters through your years. What are some things that charter guests should definitely do or bring with them when coming on a charter?
A I would say just like really listen to the captain. I don't know. They really don't have to bring anything because, we supply everything, but just listen, like when captain says it's time to drop, just be like, I see like they'll be more efficient. They'll catch more fish as long as they like really go by like what the captain's saying, or, even the mate, us telling them like, look, we're telling you this for your best interest. Like we say drop it, be ready, not sitting down, just because a lot of times we do drifts over wrecks and stuff, or I mean, in regards to a lot of stuff, it's just whatever captain says, like he's really saying it for the best for the crew. He's just trying to, get everybody their catch, get everybody their limit, and I mean, they'll learn some stuff by just listening to him.
So listen, that's a big one. Zay or Ryan, any major dues for charter guests?
Just have patience. You know what I mean? Because it's a long day. You book 6 to 8 hours, and it only takes one fish or one pod or one phone call to change your day. So we tell our customers all the time, just we're either going to find the fish or we're going to run out of gas. Just be patient, trust your captain, because they harp on getting the job done. Like they want you going home with the meat. So just be patient, trust your captain, have fun downstairs in the meantime, because you get into those pods, you get into those blitzes, and it's nonstop action.
Yeah. Ryan, any dues from you?
Man, for our charters, they need to bring us some beers so we can have some after the trip. No, I'm just kidding, man. Just, I mean, just be safe, have fun. And just enjoy yourself on the water. We've been doing this for so long. We're here to make sure you're having a good time and make sure that we're putting you on fish. And we're gonna try our hardest to go out there and put you on some fish. Like we want to see them catch fish more than we want to catch them ourselves. And so just enjoy yourself. I mean, it's going to happen at one point or another. So,
And I think, tipping is something I've always been curious about too. I know that 20% is kind of like a customary tip. Have there ever been some like really amazing tips? Like in y'all's mind, like tipping is what basically pays your salary when you're a mate on a charter boat. So like what's a good tip? What's a bad tip? Like, is it a percentage thing, or is it based on like how long the trip was, or what level of service, how many fish you clean? Like, I'm just curious from you guys' perspective. Like, if I'm a charter guest on your boat for a full day charter, like, what's a good tip I can give that's going to make you feel really appreciated and valued? And don't all go at once.
I think I think it's the same thing with like going to a restaurant. You know what I mean? Tip is based off the service that you receive, and it's all subjective. I think 20% is a solid number, especially if you're running 8 hour trips. A lot of people base their tips off of how many fish did we catch, or you know how many fish did they net, how many fish did they clean. But at the end of the day, whether we're catching fish or we're not catching fish, like we're still working those 8 hours to find the fish, to come downstairs, tend to you. So I mean, I think 20% is reasonable and fair, and anything over that is great, and anything under that, we still appreciate you regardless. You know what I mean?
But better have a lot of beer to come with it.
Right.
Russ or Ryan, any thoughts on the tipping thing?
I mean, 20% is like industry standard, but what we do is a whole lot more than just, putting fish on the dock and, especially for a mate, like cleaning the boat. Like we start our day early. So you got to think the amount of work we're doing by catching bait early in the morning and getting the boat ready, rigging up, talking to clients, making sure they're okay. Like if you're a good mate, you're doing all of that and beyond. And so, 20% is great. It's what helps cover the bills, but you want to strive for more than just 20%. You want to, do everything above and beyond for these people. You want them coming back, like from a good charter captain that I fished with, Josh Bourne. He says you want to keep taking their business for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And so those are the people that pay your mortgage. And so you want to keep them coming back. So you want to do everything you possibly can to keep them coming. And that's the real goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And Russ, I know you guys over there on playing hooky, you guys are out there a lot too. Any really cool stories of like an extraordinary tip? Like what's the biggest tip you've ever seen come through on a charter boat? I'm just curious if you don't mind sharing.
I don't think I really want to disclose that one too much, but
So it was a lot.
I really appreciate and I totally understand if a customer doesn't even really tip good, just depending on the catch. Like if we don't have a good day, I take it personally too, and like I feel bad for the charter if that does happen, which but most time we do deliver, and most time we get everybody has a good experience, and they usually they'll reward us for our efforts. Bill like 110% every trip, and they see that. I tell Bill all the time, man, it's his bread and butter. His passion, his drive, puts everybody in high spirits. And just that alone right there, man, usually leads to us, everybody having a good trip and us getting paid good.
Yeah, I think that's the real key. And it's like for the average person who either doesn't have a boat or maybe doesn't have a experience catching whatever that target species is, like if I go on a trip with Fineo or Heads and Tails or playing hooky, like that's my best chance to have a successful day. So like if you guys don't have a successful day, it's because like the odds were just like stacked inevitably against that day of fishing, whether it was the weather or some sort of weird tide or whatever the situation. But the number of fish they don't eat. The number of fish that comes back is no reflection on the level of effort or work that you guys put in. So I'm curious too, thinking about like the future of the fishing industry and how technology is changing things and where things are going into the future. Are there any things that, we as like the recreational anglers can be doing to help with, the charter industry? Like I know on those busy days and the bay is busy, like there's a lot of times where like there's a lot of boat traffic, so if we know that there's a charter boat nearby, like what can we as recreational anglers do? Because we're just out there having fun. You guys are working. Like, what's the right protocol for the recreational guys when there's a charter boat nearby?
I would just say common courtesy. Understand that these charter captains are not only trying to make a living for themselves, but they're also trying to provide a quality service to customers and clients on the boat. So just common courtesy. Like bridge season, for example. If you see a charter coming down the bridge, don't cut them off. Just be mindful that people pay a lot of hard-earned money to come out on the water and have a good time. So just try to make that as enjoyable as possible for them.
Yeah. Ryan or Russ?
I'd probably have to say the same thing as Zay. Just have some common courtesy, man. Like, you guys are doing it for fun. We're out here to make sure that our group's having a good time and, we're catching fish. And, if we're on a drum school, don't get right next to us.
I'm glad you said that, 'cause I'm glad I didn't get on that, because boy, that gets me fired up right there.
I had a day where I took Connie out, the guy from Long Bay Point, and I was like, all right, well, I gotta do what I gotta do. And so found this school drum by myself, and we hooked up on a couple, and all of a sudden, like 10 boats out of nowhere. And I was like, gosh, man, it's like you can't keep a secret around here. And the one guy was fishing on his boat, and I could see the school in front of his boat the whole time. So I was basically like a football coach yelling from the sideline, like where to cast and don't throw a jig, put on a live bait. All of a sudden, he's like doing that, and he hooks up. I was like, oh, he's going to pass it down to his wife. And no, he just fights her from the tower the whole time. And that's when I was like, it's about time for me to leave. And then we ended up catching like a 55-pound cobia right after that. So
to speak on that point, we were middle of the cobia season. There was like 55 boats are all cobia season. We get one phone call like, hey, there's a drum school over here. So us and another charter captain, we go over there. And of course, you see two charter boats leaving. Everybody follows suit. So we turn around. There's literally 19 boats following us. We get to the drum school. We cast in there. Mind you, they don't eat bucktails anymore. So we cast in there. And some way, somehow, out of 1,000 drum, we hooked the only cobia that was in there. And as we're fighting the cobia, there's like 12 bucktails being launched at the front of our boat at the bow from all these recreational guys who just got on plane and came right over there to us. So at that point, we were like, man, forget these drums. We're going back to the cobias because this is just too much. You got all these recreational guys throwing bucktails in there and NOBNs and all this other stuff that they don't eat.
Yep. That's too funny. Russ, I know you've been in some drum school warfare. What's that like for you guys out of Rudy all the time?
I'll be honest with you, man. It kind of reminds me of like the heat on the piers, man. It's like dog eat dog out here.
It's like, fired up, man.
Like, I see a lot of like people just really competing against each other, but I really wish that like our fishing community would like, we don't necessarily have to, work together, but don't work against each other,
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom in what you just said there. It's like
That
we
is
don't,
huge.
we don't have to get in each other's way, but we can also make sure that, or we don't have to intentionally get in each other's way, but we can also definitely make sure that we stay out of each other's way and just communicate and like what you said, Zay, just show courtesy. I think it's tough for a lot of recreational anglers, myself included, because you're so excited. You see a drum school, your adrenaline pumps, and it can be hard to like think about others in that moment. And if you just pause for a second and listen to the words of what these mates are saying who are out there, making a living, working hard, up at 3 o'clock in the morning just to go make this happen for somebody's one day out there, when you as a recreational angler get to go out there all the time, just that common courtesy goes a long, long way.
Yeah, man, just a little bit of respect, a little bit of etiquette, man. It'll go a long way.
Yep.
Be a lot more peaceful out there.
Yep.
I hate hearing, everybody arguing all that stuff on the radio, man. I never speak on the radio just because I'm just there to do my job and, enjoy myself and give these people a good time.
Yeah. I think that's what it's all about at the end of the day is making those memories. And it's like the
That's all it's
chest
about, man.
beating and all that stuff can just stay on shore.
And to kind of go along with what you were saying, like the recreational guy can go out there and do it because they live here. Like for some of these charters that we book, and there might be some charters that we get that book us like 2 or 3 times a week, and then there's the like charters that have saved up their whole money to have that one day out there to have a good time on the water. And so, you know, be more mindful of that as well. Like these people pay good money to come and fish with us, and whether they're loaded with money or whether they're working a 9 to 5 and saved up their money, got their 5 buddies to come along and say, hey, let's go do this one time out of the whole year.
Absolutely. All right. So I want you guys to be thinking about like one of the funniest or craziest memories that you've got on a trip, whether that's a crazy catch, a crazy loss at the boat, or whatever. But before we ask that question, I want to know, because I'm somebody myself who deals with seasickness, and I know you guys have probably seen dozens of people seasick. Do you guys have any secret weapons for dealing with seasick clients besides feeling sorry for them?
Tell them to stare at the horizon. Like I used to get seasick, man, when I first started like going on mainly on diesel boats. And if I could like just focus my mind and stare at like where the sky will meet the horizon of the water, that line, it's always kept me level. That and maybe like always kept me a cracker or two.
Mm.
Yeah, just like eat like one cracker. Like if you watch Jaws, you'll see Quint just nibbling on that cracker. I just thought about that.
I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch that. So what does he do in the movie? He eats a cracker?
No, he's just nibbling on a little cracker slowly while he's watching his bite. I don't know, man. That's what I do, man. That's what I used to do. And I help some customers when they're getting seasick. And I tell them to do that, and it helps. That, and I tell them not to look at their phone.
Mm.
That's the one right there. The phone.
Yeah, they'll put them upside down right there, definitely.
Upside down. What were you doing? Looking at Instagram. What do you do, Zay, when they get a little seasick on the Pathfinder? What do you do?
Man, we actually didn't have that many clients this year get seasick.
Oh, that's good.
We did get one. I mean, honestly, he actually just go in. Luckily, we put in a kip though, so we just ran him over there and came right back. But I just try to give them some advice. Tell them drink some water, hydrate, keep their mind off of it. I hope that they took medicine, because if you didn't take medicine, it's just already too late. It just doesn't help at that point.
Yeah.
But kind of those same tips. Don't look at your phone. Look at the horizon. Keep water on you. Throw water on you. I tell people, if you want to jump into the water. You know what I mean? That helps some people.
Mm-hmm.
So just trying to find something that works. Just keep throwing ideas out there to something, or hopefully you catch a fish and they just forget about it. And
Oh yeah, that's the ultimate solution of getting tight on a fish. Ryan, what about you? When you get a seasick client, what do you do for them?
I just say try to get into a spot of the boat where you can get a nice breeze, cools you down, drink some water, and really don't think about it, because the more you think about it, the more it happens. And just stare out. Don't look down. Don't look straight down.
It's such a catch-22. Stop thinking about it. I can't stop thinking about it. You're telling me to stop thinking about it. Now I'm thinking about it more. It's funny, Zay, the first time. So I've struggled with seasickness my whole life, and I got obsessed with fishing. I think in 2012, got a little 21-foot center console, and I'd go out to the first island and try to fish. And every time I went, I got sick to the point of throwing up. And then once I threw up, I was kind of okay. And then I could enjoy the rest of the day. And it was fast forward to 2015. I took my first charter with Austin for cobia. and I was getting sick. And Austin goes, "Hey man, like, why don't you come up here in the tower and just, see if this makes you feel any better?" And I did. And within like 5 minutes of being in the tower, I felt 100% better. And
Hmm.
ever since then, it was the strangest thing. So back to what you said, Russ, about eyes on the horizon. I think there's something about the vantage point from the tower versus being down on the lower level. For me, for whatever reason, it's just the difference of, not being seasick at all. So I do think there's definitely like a psychological aspect to it,
Definitely.
as well as like staying loose, staying relaxed, not getting stiff. Like you can't just like lean up against something and rock with the boat.
That's
You got
the
to stay
stuff all
loose.
the time.
Yeah, stay like a cat, or like if you ever picked up a cat or like a chicken and you move them around, their head stays in the same place. Like that's kind of how you got to be on a boat. Otherwise, your inner ear gets all goofed up, and next thing you know, you're chumming.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, so any stories you guys can think of that are just like when you sit around with your buddies or you're having a few beers and you start laughing and thinking about different fishing stories or crazy things that you saw happen on a charter, like crazy fish story, crazy miss, funny thing, like anything come to mind?
Oh yeah.
Funny one time.
Dude, that was like the best or worst question you could have asked.
Oh yeah.
Hit me with one. Come on.
There was a couple years ago, I fished on a couple different charter boats, so I have plenty of stories to tell. But the one I was fishing on was a 40-foot dead rise, and these guys had booked this cobia trip in September, and it's really hit or miss during that time of year because they're either chewing or you can't find them basically. And these guys were talking like, I've caught blue marlin in Puerto Rico. And I was like, oh, these are a group of fishermen. Easy day, not hard. And all of a sudden, that old dead rice I fished on had this big canopy that stretched all the way back to the transom. So it's like parkour, trying to get the rod from the tower, pass it down, run it to the charter. And it took four guys to reel in this one fish. And I was telling them what to do. I was like, don't do that. I said, you need to do it this way. And they just didn't listen. And Josh, very calm, cool, collective guy, like does not crack under pressure whatsoever. All I hear is this big thud. And I'm like, oh no. Like he comes down out of the tower and says, my 13-year-old daughter, we've already had this fish in the boat already. And they're laughing. And I just like, I put my hand over my face and I'm like, no, he's being real honest. And this is ridiculous. It's taking 45 minutes to pull this thing in. And finally, I like reached out, scooped this fish, and the hook pulls. I get him in the net. We put him on the deck, and these guys were excited. And I just shook my head. I had to walk away from that.
That's tough, man. That's a good story. I like that. What about you, Zay? Anything crazy you've seen happen this season?
Yeah. So, we try to give the clients the ultimate charter experience. They're paying a lot of money. Um, so we have a lot of casters and a lot of clients that want to come on the boat and cast. And, we always tell them, okay, like you can either cast the whole time, or we typically tell them, let us, get the first one in the boat, first one in the box.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if you guys want to take over, you could take over. But, if you start casting from the jump and we don't catch a fish, like that's
It's on you. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we brought you to the fish, you pay me to not miss. Cool.
Yeah.
So there's one charter in particular, he was a caster, and there would be a pod of cobias, or we'll see a cobia in the distance, and we're like, all right, we're gonna, head over. I see a fish over here, get ready to cast. So the client, he would grab the rod and run to the front of the boat and have his menhaden just like dangling in the air as we're driving over to the fish. And we're like, please leave the menhaden in the bucket until we get there. So he puts the menhaden in the bucket, and they're like, all right, we're about to get there. He brings it right out. It's still dangling in the air. Mind you, it's like middle of July, 110 degrees outside. Menhaden's
That's
just
poor
cooking.
bunker.
So he finally sends it out there, cranks it in real fast, sends it out there. At this point, the menhaden's just not kicking. He's like, oh man, they didn't eat. So in our mind, we know why they didn't eat, but we're like, oh yeah, they just don't eat.
Yeah.
Like, and then he puts the menhaden in the bucket, and he's like, oh man, my menhaden's dead. Can I get a new one? So, so, we're sitting up there like, well, if you had left it in the bucket, then
She'd be alive. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably went through about 32 menhaden that day just because it didn't matter how many times. They were just cracked out. You know what I mean? They were excited. I think it was pod season, and it was fish everywhere, so they were just ready to get out there. So
That's fun. Russ, any wild bill stories? Any crazy things that come to mind of of your tenure with playing hooky that would be entertaining or fun to listen to?
I had one happen the other day, man, when I was actually it wasn't really, yeah, it was actually about the beginning of this bluefin season. I was scaling a ballyhoo. Or, I mean, actually I was like deep hooping or whatever, and a scale got in this guy's eye. Cooler to go get a water. This water turned out to be a bottle of vodka. Flushed his eye out, man. Even just and he
Oh my gosh. What do you even say? I mean, that's terrible.
I can't beat that one.
felt so bad, man.
Oh.
This one is water, man. I swear.
Oh gosh, man, that's terrible. I think I'm not really proud to tell this story, but let's just say like when you're in a tower fishing a lot of times you got to go to the bathroom. And so a lot of times we'll just pee in bottles. And there was a situation where a pee bottle got mixed up with a water bottle.
Oh, man.
Ooh.
Yeah, those are the moments that you just wish never happened.
You weren't the one drinking it, were you?
No, fortunately not, but
Okay.
it's just a situation that you just wish never happened. 'Cause like there's no words like when you look over and you see what happens and you see the look on the face and it's like, how were you not paying attention to the bottle that you picked up was straight yellow and not clear liquid? And it's just like they're so focused on like fishing and just getting a drink. And anyways, I mean, I didn't laugh in the moment, but a little bit later in the day, like once the pain had worn off, we had a good laugh about it. But yeah, that's kind of one of my crazy stories. I think back to a situation with Austin one time. It was 2016, and it was like 6 to 7 foot in the bay, like awful small craft, do not go. And he was like, "My boat's not in commission right now. Let's take your boat and go." So we go all the way over to the eastern shore, plowing through these 6 foot waves, and I'm driving the boat, and it's all I can do to just keep the thing from capsizing. And so we go over there. There's fish. We catch some fish. We get back. We're almost into the inlet, and I feel the rail underneath my hand, of the tower, and it's like feels like it's like moving. And I'm like, what in the world? And I look down, and the tower legs on either side were almost completely cracked through. The welds were almost completely cracked through. And so I had a tournament the next day. So I went and got some like hose and some steel clamps and like basically just band-aided the heck out of this thing.
Mhm.
Went and fished the tournament. After the tournament, took those things off and they were completely separated. So I just remember calling him and being like, yo, the tower leg welds were like 75% cracked through that day that we were in 6 foot seas. Just think about
Yeah.
would have happened if they actually broke all the way through while we were like, I mean, we were banging back and forth so hard
Yeah.
just to keep the
Yeah.
boat upright. I mean, it was one of those situations you look back and you're like, man, that would have probably been life threatening if the welds broke all the way through. So, anyways, just kind of wrapping up. It's just cool to think about all the things that we do, the crazy experiences, just to go chase, catching a fish, whatever that species is. It's a true passion I think we all share. Mate Zay, Mate Russ, Mate Ryan, thank you guys so much for hopping on the show and just sharing some stories, man.
Yes, sir. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, and if folks want to book one of y'all's charters that you work on, we'll start with you, Zay. What's the best way folks can get up with Fineo and book a trip?
I would say follow him on Instagram at I believe Fineo Sport Fishing.
Yep.
All his contact information is in his bio. I believe the link to his website is in there as well. And I think there's a phone number. So either give him a call, click the link in the bio, visit the website. The calendar is open for 2025. So, and bookings are rolling in. So book it fast.
Awesome. Yeah. And then Captain Russ, excuse me. I'm going to call all you guys captain because I'm so used to saying captain.
It's
You guys are
actually
going to be
crazy.
captains one day. In 10 years, we'll be interviewing you as the captains.
I'm actually going to TCC next week to get my captain's license.
There we
So
go. See, I knew I was
yeah,
speaking into
you're speaking it
existence.
into an existence. There you go.
Russ, what about you? How do we get booked with playing hooky?
You can either go on Facebook or there's even like just type in playinghooky.com or Bill's main way. Everybody loves the walk-on trips. He's got a walk-on text system. It's got like 800 people on it. And just whenever we have an opening, he'll shoot out a text, you'll get it, and you'll see whatever days where you have open. And you just book your trip. That way you don't have to pay for the boat, all by yourself. You just pay for your one spot. and you'll meet like a lot of the PHC regulars, man. They're really cool. They always have good trips. They always got good vibes, good juju.
That's
And
awesome.
I don't know, it's always a good time out there, man.
Awesome. And
And
Ryan, what about you
him-
guys on Heads and Tails?
Probably most likely his like Instagram heads and tails _ charters. It's got all his contact info, or if you follow me on Instagram, just hit me up. And we're always pretty much tight on our communication. And should have hit my voice up sooner about these bluefins coming in, because I told him, I was like, oh, I got a couple spots, and like, dude, if I didn't have to work, I was like saving y'all for next year. So
Can't go to work. You got to call off. They're eating.
I
Yeah.
always do. I always call out sick when the fish
Yeah.
are biting.
Quick sidebar. I mean, I know all of you guys have been out recently going for these bluefins. I mean, would you guys say this is like one of the coolest parts about our fishery is this bluefin season?
It's
something
actually my first experience with the bluefin. So it's super dope just to see, something so big, so close to home.
Yeah.
Like,
definitely.
It's been something new and unique. Well, not even new, because they've been around since the good old rockfish days, as all the older charter captains would tell you. But like, just seeing them like now, and even last year, our issue was we couldn't even get one under. And then this year it's like we're trying to commercial fish for them, and we can get every undersized fish we want. And it's like, dude, I'm just trying to kill a 73 incher and go in and make my change. But I think it's going to only get better from here on out, man. There's just so much structure out there and paid. And I mean, it's finally happening where they're actually staying long enough for us to go out there and go catch them.
Yep. Russ, you guys have caught a boatload of them and sold a couple commercially too. I mean, what's it been like for you with these bluefin?
It's been a hell of an experience, really, man. It's just it's stressful, but it's exciting.
Yeah.
My friend Flory, he's made a lot of hopes. Like he always said it best to me. That battle is like a David versus Goliath fight. And just even like the customers just going through that experience, man. It's a life experience. Every
Yeah.
time we catch one, it's like it blows my mind once it gets in the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's everything you got to go through, and it takes such precision. Like I'll rig up the day before, and then after that charter, I'll stay there till 1 a.m, just making sure everything is, down to detail, perfect. Because all it takes is one little error, and it's I don't know, I'm enjoying it, man. But it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's fun, but it's very it's serious.
Yeah.
Actually, you're never able to fish for them again because the wind. But
Yeah, we got to pray this wind away. That's for sure. I think in closing, the David versus Goliath analogy is perfect because I think we go out there and whether it's golden tile, cobia, red drum, tautog, whatever, there's always the opportunity to kind of like muscle the fish in and just kind of make it happen. You get tied on a bluefin, and you are truly at the mercy of that animal on the other side because they are just that powerful. So I really like that analogy of David versus Goliath. Guys, thank you so much for being on the show, sharing about what it's like to be a mate on a professional charter outfit. We look forward to talking to you guys in the future, and thanks for being on the show.
Awesome. Thanks, Luke.
appreciate you, Luke.
Yeah, man. Likewise. All right, y'all. Stick around for a word from our sponsors and a little bit of what did you learn, and we'll be back with you soon. Pure Flat Slick Lures are tried, true, and guide approved. Slick Lures catch big speckled trout, redfish, flounder, and more. You can cast them a mile, and they produce a highly erratic bait fish imitation with a twitching retrieve. The tournament-winning Slick has helped many anglers set personal best records. Whether you're fishing the OG Slick, the smaller profile Slick Junior, or the versatile Lil Slick, one is sure to find that unforgettable thump we're all after. Visit your local tackle retailer or pureflats.com for your favorite color and rigging combination. Go sling some slicks today. You can't catch them on the sofa. Tired of battling salt corrosion on your boat, trailer, and reels? Meet Salt's Gone, your ultimate solution. This powerful, instantly acting chelating agent tackles salt and brine with ease, featuring corrosion inhibitors to protect against future damage and surfactants for a thorough clean. Salt's Gone is pH neutral, making it safe for all boat materials. Metal, glass, paint, vinyl wraps, and more. Highly concentrated, just 1 gallon creates 100 gallons of ready-to-use solution. Apply it with or without running water. It's perfect for any situation. Use code GREATDAYS10 to save 10% at saltsgone.com. Or if you need faster delivery, use Amazon or your favorite retailer. Did you know every 40 seconds, someone has a heart attack or stroke? In that moment, every second counts and every critical decision matters. Air Medcare Network's air ambulance providers can provide life-saving care directly to those in need at a moment's notice. With 320 locations across 38 states, they're the largest air ambulance membership network. Rest assured, they've got you and your entire household covered. Membership is just $99 a year or just $79 for seniors. Visit gdo.deals/airmedcare to enroll. All right, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed that as much as I did. So many fun stories. It was really cool to just really understand what all goes into it. I mean, I didn't have a clue the level of dedication and how early they were getting there and just how hard they work to make it happen each and every time that you go on a charter. And I think at the end of the day, I can confidently say that I think every captain that is a charter captain has gotten there because of some incredible determination and skill. But no doubt, a captain and their charter wouldn't be as successful as it is without a great mate. So I want to thank those guys for hopping on. Zay and Ryan and Russ. It was just a pleasure to talk and get to know those guys. So hopefully we'll have them back on again in the future and talk a little bit more to them. But guys, let's pray for some warm weather to start to come our way. I think we've got some frigid temperatures coming up. Hopefully this doesn't last too long because I know if you're anything like me, I'm already thinking about that next fishing trip. So y'all be safe, stay warm, and we'll talk with you soon. So that's going to wrap it up this week. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember, to get your free AFTCO Camo Sunglasses Cleaning Cloth, just text the acronym LCBFR to 779-345-2918 to get your promo code and be added to our email list so we can send you the new show each week. You guys keep whacking them and be safe out there.